Well, today I want to tackle the valve cover gaskets on this 2017 Subaru Outback. I am not really looking forward to this. I'm going to have to unbolt a whole lot of stuff off this engine, and I'm probably going to have about a 3-hour commit once I get started on this. So here I have my 2017 Subaru Outback. I'm going to go ahead and try to tackle the job of replacing the valve cover gaskets. Both sides are leaking. It was brought to my attention when I went to the dealer to have the spark plugs replaced, and they quoted me close to $1,900 to do this repair. So that's something I'm going to do myself. This is a time-consuming project from what I've seen other people saying. I'm going to allot a whole day to do this repair. So I'm starting tonight. I'm going to go ahead and take out the battery and the breather box and a couple other things, and hopefully we get the valve covers off tonight. We can get them cleaned up, so tomorrow all I have to do is bolt them back. So I ordered the gaskets from Rock Auto. This car is only 7 years old. Normally valve cover gaskets last a little longer than 7.5 years. So I went with aftermarket. We'll see how that works. That might have been a mistake. Hopefully it's not. I'm going to be replacing them with Felpro gaskets. And while I'm at it, I'm going to pull the intake, and I'm also starting to seep antifreeze from the crossover pipe. I'm going to replace those two O-rings while I'm at this repair. I figure aftermarket's probably going to be better. Hopefully that's not going to be a mistake and come back and bite me and I'm going to have to do this repair again in a year. Hopefully that'll last the remainder, the life of this vehicle. This car's got 196,000 miles on it. So if I can get another 100,000, I'll be tickled to death. You know, that I'll be looking to trade this thing in and send it down the road. Hopefully it goes smooth. I'm sure it won't, but hopefully it goes semi-smooth. I'll put chapter markers on this video, and also there'll be a time lapse going of it too. I'm going to go ahead and pop this plastic wind guard off the bottom of the vehicle so I can get easier access to the bottom of the valve covers. I don't know how many clips are in here, but there's probably a good amount. Yep, this is a 12 millimeter. Should be able to slide this out of the way. And now we can kind of see where our leaks are. Let's see. So you can see there's the one valve cover. Definitely got some leaks going on there. And the other side, it actually doesn't look that bad. So it looks like basically it's the driver's side is the culprit. So I hope that's in focus. But now I've got a lot easier access to everything. I'm checking the water pump here. That looks okay. Can still feel the heat off this catalytic converter. What's crazy is this car hasn't ran for like 2 hours now and it's still got the heat. So yeah, got a lot easier access to get to those bolts now. The ideal thing would be to go in through this fender well, pull those guards, and I'd have really easy access. That's just more that I'm gonna have to take off if I do that. And I wonder right there. Dude, that looks like there's bolts missing right there. Not sure what that's to. look on the other side on that, because that looks almost like I got some bolts missing. Good news is I don't see any leaks from the transmission. That's definitely a big plus. All right, now that I got that off, we can go look up top. Oh, sorry if you guys get all disoriented with that. Kind of flipping the camera around. Pay close attention to the length of these. There's back on this front, and they are the same length. Just gonna rubber these tabs here. Okay, they came out. This is probably our fuel rail, so that's probably just a protector for the fuel rail. But now it gives us easier access. So 2 longer ones on top, right here and here. All right, I'm on the other side now. So to get to this transfer tube, which is directly under this intake manifold, you can see it connects right over here, goes all the way over under all this mess, and connects somewhere under there. I can't get a good angle, maybe from over here, but that's going to be a pain in the butt. So if I didn't have that thin profile ratchet, look at the difference here. This factory cobalt will not fit in that gap. But with these Icon, they're thin wells. You can see they're shorter. And the Pittsburgh low profile, it fits in there just fine. I would definitely be in trouble if I didn't have this set up. So there's a better look. You can see the oil just oozing out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go under the car and try to get those bottom bolts out. I can go ahead and tell you this is going to be difficult because I've got a muffler right in the way. The best way to do it would be to come through the fender right here if I had the fender well removed. I'm going to try to get these bottom sockets loose. Use a standard socket. Now, if I use a long extension, I'll have to move the GoPro. But if I use a long extension, I should be able to come right through that fender well and have a straight shot on this. So, okay, every one of these is loose. So what I want to do one more time is I'm going to get the air hose and just hit this top part. I don't want any dust in this system. So just pulling it, it's not going to work. Just going to put the screwdriver here and then kind of turn it. We're just gonna pry. Try it, the spot over here, right on the end. I'm actually going to just use a trim wedge, get in here, just so we don't risk damaging one of the seals surfaces. What we got hanging up here? Okay, there goes. There is our cover off. All right, here is the gasket kit that I'm using for the car. It's a Felpro. Looks like it's a VS 50830R. It comes with the new valve cover gaskets, and it comes with the two different types of the tube seals, so make sure you got the right one. So we're going to go ahead and put the tube seals on, because if you did all this work and forgot to put the tube seals on, it would just be horrible. So go ahead and put your tube seals on, and we're going to go ahead and compare this gasket with the one that came out of the car. But yeah, these are OEM ones are about hard as a rock. Yeah, I just think I'm gonna open a new tube. We'll save this open tube for another project. I got a brand new tube of it. Okay, it's saying to lay down a 3.5 to 0.5 millimeter bead of this ultra black, or any RTV sealant for that matter. And it wants it on these journals. I'm just going to put a little bit on the inside of these where we got that gap. Same, basically go from here. You ready to put the power now, please? No, you're ready. I can't do this up. I guess that's in. I guess we'll find out whenever I start it.
Dad, what's the date?
Today's date?
Yeah.
The 15th.
15th.
Coil packs are in. That is one. That right there is probably, the front one's easy. That back one is probably a 4 out of 10 on the difficulty scale. Pretty much all we have to do now is just bolt on this little guard that covers that. We're going to take all the bolts loose again. We are now on the driver's side. This side is a little bit more congested. But this might actually be easier for me being right-handed because I don't have to rely on that left hand as much. I'm just cracking everything loose. This GoPro is basically the same view as what my head is. Ooh. If only I had a paper towel. I'm just going to go ahead and get these 3 bottom ones out. I've literally got my feet going 90 degrees up on the garage door. I just don't have any room. don't know if you can see all that RTV that's on those lobes. But this is going to be like another 2-hour job to get that removed. So I'm going to get cracking on it. I'm going to put a little oil on here so it slides easily onto the tubes. So you can see. That's what they look like. But yeah, these are OEM ones are about hard as a rock. Yeah. Things fitting pretty flush. Of course, we'll put the RTV here. Now, there's a little bit of a gap here, so that's going to pull tight whenever I push it. But it should be okay. I think what I will do on this side is I will put RTV in the journals just to make sure we got a good seal right there. So a little bit on the inside of these, we got that gap. That's no any problems. Same basically over here. Are you ready to put the power in, please? No, we're real bad. I can't bring this up. Okay. Oh, no. Oh, you son of a no good biscuit eater. Oh, thank you, Jesus. We got the click. Okay, let me just feel what one of these feels like. Oh, we're going to call that good. 28 minutes later, I finally got that valve cover on. If you don't have a lot of patience, this might not be the repair for you, because that was so tedious. I'm like, it literally took me 3 hours just to scrape the glue off because they had so much RTV on it. And to get the bolts to go back in, you had to use 4 different sockets, but you have to torque them. So luckily I've got a 1/4-inch torque wrench, and I was able to do that, but still it's just a rough repair. So I'm going to squeeze out some of my RTV right now. I'm going to put this back in the refrigerator, and we're going to go ahead and get started on this other side, because I really just want to knock this repair out at this point, because that was rough. I'm not going to lie, that was 7 out of 10 on the difficulty scale, and it's not for the faint of heart, put it that way. I'm going to go ahead and hook some of these components back up to this side and move on to the next side. Actually, I think I'm just going to move on to the next side, and then we'll hook all the components up at the same time.
At this part of the repair, I decided to replace the O-rings to the coolant transfer pipe. It's another repair that's around a 6 out of 10 on the difficulty scale.
All right, what I want to do is I want to do a follow-up video on the valve cover seal replacements that I did with the Felpro seals. So it's been a couple months since I did this repair, and at the first part of this video you'll see me doing the repair. So now I'm going to kind of come to my conclusion on what I think of the seal kit, and they still leak. So I'm going to pop the hood here and kind of show you what's going on. And this could be total user error. If you remember in the kit, there was those little O-rings that I didn't install because I thought for sure that they were for another model because they didn't look like anything. I think, looking back at it now, that they might have been seals that go at the inside of the tube that go next to the head themselves, and they didn't get replaced. And so it could be the factory one's still leaking, or I could be totally wrong on that, and it could just be the ones from Felpro are leaking. But anyway, let me show you what it's doing. Now I'm looking at the breakdown of the head, and you can see that it's just showing the spark plug pipe gasket. That's what they're calling that. I don't see anything on the inside of that tube. So I don't think it's something I did. I think it's just leaking on that Felpro pipe gasket for the spark plug, this piece. All right, let me pop the hood here. Where's that latch? Oh, here it is. It's a little bit difficult doing this one-handed. There it goes. So you can kind of see. I'm gonna zoom in here for you. We're still leaking around the coil packs. And the passenger side is worse than the driver's side. I mean, it's not really leaking like on the ground, but it's still consuming oil. Now, I think the Subarus are known for using a little bit of oil, and so this just might be normal consumption, but I'm having to add around half a quart of oil per 6,000 miles on an oil change. But yeah, I'm gonna research it. I got a manual, and I'm gonna look real quick, and we're just gonna see if that if those seals were supposed to be replaced. And if they were, I would say this would be a much easier repair just to pull this motor out instead of trying to scrape the seals how I did, because like I mentioned before, there's just literally no clearance on these sides. And I think it might have been easier just to disconnect the wiring harness and to pull the motor to do the seals. I could be wrong on that too. But anyway, that's my final thoughts. It still leaks. A little disappointed because on how much time I spent on this repair.